Hey everyone, have you dreamed of owning your own airplane? The freedom to fly anywhere, anytime sounds pretty amazing, right? But before you start shopping for your wings, there's something you need to know. Owning an airplane isn't just about the purchase price. The cost to buy and maintain one can really add up. So how expensive is it to own an airplane? In this video, I'm going to break it down for you, from the initial cost of buying an airplane to ongoing maintenance and everything in between. When I bought my Cirrus SR22 Turbo a while back, I didn't fully know what I was getting into, so hopefully this will help you to make the decision on whether to buy or just lease an airplane. Let's start with this big question. How much does it cost to buy an airplane? Well, obviously that depends on the type you're buying and also the year make. If you're looking to buy a small single engine airplane, something like a Cessna 172, you can expect to pay around $100,000 up to about $300,000. These are popular choices for private pilots and are great for short trips and for training because they're very inexpensive compared to other airplanes. Want something faster with more seats? A 4 to 6 seat light aircraft like a Piper Saratoga or Beechcraft Bonanza can run anywhere from $300,000 to $1 million. Or you can buy what I bought, which is a Cirrus SR22, which I think is an awesome airplane. And it's very similar to what I just said, and it's anywhere from $300,000 for a very used airplane or something newer like I bought, which is closer to $1 million. I love the Cirrus just because it has a lot of great automations and is very fast, among many other things. And I actually walked through my airplane on another video if you want to go check that one out. And if you're really in the market for luxury, let's say a private jet, prices can go anywhere from $2 million to over $50 million, depending on the model, the age, and obviously the condition of the aircraft. There are some big advantages of buying an airplane, and you can actually get a lot of it paid for if you do it right. So if you want to see that video, I will put a link above, and I will also put that video at the end of this video. Many people don't just pay for an airplane outright. They'll either finance it or they will lease it. They usually finance it. Financing is similar to a mortgage where you get an interest rate anywhere from, I think it's anywhere right now between 6% and 8%, depending on the credit and the age of the aircraft. For example, on a $200,000 airplane, you might be paying $1,200 to $1,800 a month, depending on the terms. And don't forget about insurance. Just like car insurance, you'll need to protect your investment. For a small airplane, insurance could cost anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 per year. But if you're flying a jet, it could be something more like $50,000 to $150,000 annually. Like I said, getting into jets, you're playing with the big boys. All right, so now you bought the airplane. So now what? Maintenance. Plan on spending around 10% of the aircraft's value on maintenance. Again, that's just a very rough number. This means that a $20,000 airplane, you could spend around $20,000 per year to keep it in good shape. These costs can vary dramatically depending on the plane's age and the complexity of the airplane, but it's very important to keep up with regular maintenance checks. For example, every 100 hours of flight time, you'll need a 100-hour inspection. And for some airplanes, major overhauls of the single engine, and for small planes, you have to overhaul the engine every 1,500 to 2,000 hours of flight time. And that could cost anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000. And if you buy a Cirrus, you actually have to repack the parachute every 10 years, and I believe that runs about $10,000. Now we've covered the big stuff, but don't forget about the ongoing operational costs. You have fuel, hangar, fees, and more. So let's start with fuel. A small plane might burn 8 to 12 gallons of fuel per hour, and at an average price of $5 to $7 per gallon, that's around $40 to $84 per hour of flying, and that's just for the fuel. So if you fly 100 hours a year, that's $4,000 to $8,400 in fuel costs alone. Again, that's not including maintenance and all the other costs involved with the airplane. And then there's hangar fees. If you want to keep your plane in a safe, dry place, you'll pay for a hangar. These can range anywhere from $200 to $2,000 per month, depending on the location and size of the airplane. I'm here in sunny San Diego, California, where it's really expensive. So for my small airplane, my Cirrus SR22, I believe I'm paying a little over $1,500 a month. Some airports, you can just tie them down out in the open and leave them on the ramp, and this can be anywhere from $50 to a couple $100, or in my case, I think here in San Diego is even $500 per month just to keep it out in the open. On top of that, there are other things you're gonna have to consider. For example, if you need to get your license, that can cost thousands of dollars. If you don't already have your license, expect to pay anywhere from as little as $5,000, which is on the cheap end, to $15,000 to get a private pilot's license, and around $10,000 to $50,000 if you want to get additional ratings. Okay, so all in all, what does owning an airplane really cost? If you add up the purchase price, insurance, financing, maintenance, fuel, hangar fees, and training, it's safe to say you're looking at $20,000 to $100,000 per year, depending on the type of airplane you own and how much you fly. So is it worth it? For some, the freedom and flexibility of having your own airplane is priceless. But for others, it might make more sense to rent when you need it. The decision really depends on how often you plan to fly and what you're looking for in terms of convenience and lifestyle. But I'm telling you right now, owning an airplane is a lot of fun. If you really want to know whether it's worth it or not, rather than putting a link to the next video, I have a video right here on how I made money in my airplane up front and how it continues to pay for itself. I wanted to record this video to share my fun journey so far buying airplanes, from buying my Cirrus SR22 Turbo to the next jet I'm looking to buy. I also want to share why I buy airplanes, how I get them paid for, and what it's like to fly private. I've had many ask what I do for a living, so we'll share that as well. The cool thing is this started with a vision, so hopefully this video will inspire you. First, I'm going to talk about the Cirrus jet. I recently posted a video where I was able to fly the Cirrus jet for the first time. I actually put one on order right before flying it, so when I ordered the airplane, I actually hadn't even flown it. The first time flying a private jet is pretty unreal. When you hear that engine start for the first time, there's this feeling inside that you'll never forget.
Watch that. We can hear the fuel has been ignited. We can see it because the temperature is rising in the engine. All of this is our fan blade in the front of the engine that we can look and start to see. That's spooling. Engine's looking really good. This is looking fantastic. This will be a great start.
Honestly, from far away, it just kind of looks like a little bit of a fish. But again, when you get close to it, you can tell it's a real jet. Actually, starting the Cirrus jet is much easier than my SR22 Turbo.
Just turn the generators off, those two, and then you can come right over to the strobe lights and then pause for a second. Believe it or not, we're actually in a position where we're ready to fire up the engine.
Once we got up in the air, I actually asked Al Waterloo what the main thing people liked about when jumping from the SR22 to the Cirrus Vision jet.
Just a big change from the 22. So it's this whole principle of the airplane has 50% more capability than the SR, but you end up having it's 80% easier. I mean, just think about how comfortable you are right now. Yeah. Like you can just sit here and relax. You can move your seat back. And just like even to the point of like hyper stretching your knee, right, like you can actually like stretch it all the way out. That all those little things start to add up. Getting in here, we're pressurized. So even though that we're flying at 27,000 feet, our bodies feel like we're at 7,000 feet. So that's the really cool thing. Even just like sliding the seat all the way back, and not having to like twist your body around and opening the door and all that, like right. Yeah. You have all that room that you're able to do. Passengers back there are just like thrilled to death. They don't dread getting in the plane. This is like, you can tell that was the seat that was like engineered that was like ground zero for engineering this whole airplane, that seat that you're sitting in. So like feel how much room, it's cozy. It doesn't feel, when you actually get inside the airplane, there's a lot of room.
There's obviously a huge difference between these airplanes, but I wanted to see what he had to say. As I mentioned, this airplane is pretty luxurious. The inside of the airplane is something you just have to see for yourself. The plane that I flew actually had a $200,000 Avidyne upgrade.
Is this clothier standard? Yeah, this is all on the Airway Vision Jet. So this is like Alcantara, carbon fiber. So all these finishes are a big enhancement, part of the Airway or special edition package.
How much is it to add that extra on?
It's $200K.
The landing was so smooth. This is also easier to land than my SR22 Turbo. Check it out.
Better coming in. Does it feel nice? Yeah. Awesome. Start bringing a little bit more power out, just a little. Right there, hold it. Keep the nose right here, right down. Power to idle. And then just sit here, hold it off. Nice job. Keep holding it off. There it is. Beautiful. Nice. Just relax. Let it coast. There you go. Count to two. 1, 2. Now come on the brakes.
Check out my reaction after I get done flying. It's got the auto land feature, so if the pilot becomes incapacitated, passengers can hit the button and it lands itself. It's got a big screen that you can pull down, and the passengers can watch TV shows. And man, it is just, the landing was so smooth. It's honestly the smoothest landing that I have done. And it was my first jet landing. So freaking smooth. I'm so excited. So I just need to talk the wife into taking the 4-year wait and moving it up to 2 years. The only issue is we have to put a lot more money down and still wait the 2 years. This video was actually a couple years ago, so if I wanted to order the Cirrus jet, because it was a 4-year wait, I would still have another 2 years to go. But recently, I decided that my SR22 could not carry as much as I thought it would, so I wondered, does the Cirrus jet have the same issue? And after doing research, I found out it's the same thing. It just doesn't carry as much as I would like it to. So for that reason, I decided right now I'm probably not going to buy the Cirrus Vision jet. Since I came to that conclusion, I've actually done a couple of videos comparing a couple other private jets that I'm thinking about buying. At first, I was thinking about the Eclipse 550, but after I did a video comparing that to the Cirrus jet, someone commented about a Phenom 100. So after looking into that, I got pretty interested, and I did a video on that airplane and compared actually all 3 of these airplanes. After doing that, I started leaning towards the Phenom 100. But I haven't flown that airplane yet, so that is the next thing that I'd like to do, is to go fly a Phenom 100 to see if that's something that I want to fly next. That's something I'd like to do soon, so hit the subscribe and notification button if you want to be notified when I do that video. After I fly the Phenom, at that point, that's when I'll make the decision. If you have other ideas on other airplanes I should check out, please comment below and let me know what you think. As I said earlier, airplanes started with a vision. About 10 years ago, I started a vision board and I put an airplane on there. I also put on there a nice Mercedes, an ocean view home, and about 6 other things that I won't get into. But the point is that all of these I thought would take a long time to achieve, 20, maybe 30 years, but I actually achieved a lot of those within a few years, and the airplane I achieved in about 8 years. The only thing that I can remember on that vision board that I didn't achieve was owning a sports team. A football team was actually what I was leaning towards, but the Kansas City Chiefs would be the #1 team I'd look into, but they're family owned and I don't think they're going to give up the team anytime soon. I've actually had a lot of people say, you don't have many subscribers. Why should I listen to this guy? And is this guy real? Honestly, I really just started posting consistently on this channel to tell my story and inspire other people to do what I'm doing and the kind of life that I'm living. And one thing people don't understand, it's way harder to get subscribers than you would think. Actually, many people that watch my videos aren't even subscribers. But I definitely want to change that. So if you could do me a favor and just hit the subscribe button, that would help me tremendously. I actually put my own time, energy, and money into these videos and I actually don't make any money. In fact, I spend money doing these videos. So please help me out. The truth is, just because you don't have many subscribers or followers doesn't mean you're not doing much. The interesting thing, there are people with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of followers who haven't done nearly what I've done in my business. I don't want to come out cocky, I'm saying that lightly. I myself, I've been in business for 23 years now and I've owned many businesses. And what's cool about that is most people can't make one business work. So what exactly do? I actually bought a product at 21 years old, 23 years ago, like I said, that shows people how to buy properties with no money down. In fact, I'm doing a lot of videos on my channel right now about how to do that. And like I said, since then, I've started many businesses and many of them have failed, which is another lesson. Just because someone says they have 10 businesses, there's probably only 1 or 2 that are doing well. The other 8 are probably either not doing well or are going to fail. I've actually seen other people do videos on this about how they started many businesses and they have failed as well. It's usually about 10 to 20% of businesses that actually succeed. So the latest business I started was about 5 years ago when we licensed TV commercials around the country. We have over 100 real estate investors running TV commercials with us. And so there's a lot of recurring revenue there, which has allowed me to start buying airplanes and really get to that next level. It took me 18 years to find that business that really got me to that high level. Before, I was actually doing well with real estate, but this just took it to another level. So that's how I afford to buy airplanes. But you know what? I actually get my airplanes paid for. If you want to watch the separate video talking and breaking this all down, you can go watch that video or you can continue to watch this one. The thing about the wealthy is they know how to break the tax code. I actually bought my SR22 Turbo for $1 million 2 years ago. I was able to write that airplane off 100%. So I put 15% down and was able to write it off 100%. And the net gain after taxes was about 35%. So I was able to save $350,000 in taxes above and beyond my down payment. And that may not be the most interesting part. But the next part of it is I actually rent this airplane while I'm not using it. So last month, for instance, I collected $11,000 in payments and it only cost me about $7,500. So I'm actually making money on my airplane. I actually treat airplanes kind of like rental properties, but the cool thing about airplanes over rental properties is you can actually use them when you want to. So I'm not giving tax advice. If you decide to do this, go see a tax advisor. But there are a ton of advantages of owning things like airplanes and real estate, and I will continue to do more videos on those. And last, I told you I would share what it's like to fly private. So what is it like to fly private? If there is one thing that you do that is cool in your life, take a trip flying privately. Even if you just charter a small airplane, it's a pretty cool experience. Even in small airplanes, you get to hang out with the big boys. That's right, the private jets. That is just one of the cool things about flying private. It really changes your mindset and helps you see what is possible. You know, they say you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Well, what if you're flying around private jets? At some point, you're probably gonna level up your mindset in your game and figure out how to own a bigger airplane or just own an airplane in general. The next thing I love about flying private is you can leave when you want to and you can return when you want to. This gives you a ton of flexibility, and think about it, you don't have to go through security. You can pack your own food that you want to take, you can pack water bottles and drinks, and pretty much take anything you want to on your airplane as long as it doesn't weigh too much, of course. And if you're flying yourself, that just adds another layer of making flying private cool. When you fly yourself, you're so focused, you're so present, and when you get done with the flight, there's that sense of accomplishment, something that's really hard to understand until you actually do it. And last but not least, your perspective. When you fly private, your perspective is just different. So I'm going to touch on a couple points maybe I've already touched on, but when you go into a private airport, you hang around uber successful people, which kind of makes you think. Also, the private airports sometimes have FBOs that are pretty luxurious and pretty cool. And again, just the overall experience from when you park, which typically is right outside the FBO, you go through the private airport, which hopefully you have a nice FBO and something that's pretty luxurious. And then when you walk out onto the tarmac, you get to see all the private jets that are flying private as well, which you can assume are probably really successful business owners, entertainers, and celebrities.